first go to Greg Hunter.
So Bob, I mean, start with, Taz and Gabe and Kobe, their health situation. They gonna be able to play tomorrow? Anybody else with any issues?
No, we don't have any other issues at all. Guys have been really good. Unlike our sports information director, he's snowed in, right? He lives like next door. Snowed in.
You made it. Did you have any problems?
None, absolutely none.
Justin Jackson.
So, Coach, just to confirm, you'll have Taz and Gabe and Kobe. You have a full roster then, or?
I believe so.
Okay. And have they been able to practice at all? I'm not sure, like how many days they had to sit out and that kind of stuff.
Very little.
Yeah. Okay.
Very, very little.
Just enough to get back into some shape, I guess, right? Or
I wouldn't say that, no.
yeah.
I wouldn't say enough to get back in shape.
Back to Greg.
So Bob, I guess just to follow up with that, my last question do you have to maybe limit their minutes a little bit because they haven't had the practice time quite so much? What do you have to do tomorrow managing their load?
I think that's kind of up to them. Those guys have played enough and been around enough that they'll tell me. They'll tell me when they need a break.
Okay, then to follow up now, Kansas State. Obviously, Bruce has always had defensive-minded teams. Some new players. Are they still play the same way? Is this a different club with them?
I'll tell you, he's got more shot makers than I can remember being in K-State in a while. I mean, he's got a lot of guys who can make shots. He's got guys that can make hard shots. I really like his team. He's done a terrific job putting that team together.
Jared Siri.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Coach, K-State won 9 games all of last year. They're already at 8 this year. What do you point to have such a drastic turnaround like that? Is the makeup of the roster, or what do you point to?
Well, I think first of all, Bruce doesn't get the credit he deserves for being as good a coach as he is. He's really a good coach. They run great stuff. They're terrific defensively, and I think he's done a great job with the roster management. I guess that's what it's called now, roster management. And he's brought in guys that really fit into his system. He's brought in guys that really make them better. I haven't really got to watch a lot of people in our league as much as I usually do, as much as I want to, but I have watched Bruce's team through a full game, and they do a terrific job. They run great offense. Actually, I watched the end of their Wichita game, and what a great game. And his kids are very competitive. I think he's put a really good squad together.
Back to Justin.
Sorry about that. Coach, having gone through the current COVID protocols with your guys, I guess there are some other leagues that are kind of lowering the limits of days from 10 to 5. Has there been talk about the Big 12 doing the same? Would you be in favor of that?
Let me think how to answer this truthfully. we've got a lot of, it's not as simple as the league saying, let's narrow it to 5.
Okay,
We've got a lot of hoops to jump through. A lot of people, I think, are involved in this, and I think, fortunately, for this league and the players in this league, we have people who in this league who have the interests of our players, the best for them. Whether it's when they can play or how much they can play, or those kind of things. The people associated with our league that have put this whole deal, I want to say back together. I know that's not appropriate, but that's about what it is, trying to put everything back together. I think they've been terrific. And I honestly, I don't normally say that.
right.
If you have a question, use the raised hand feature. Back to Greg.
So Bob, did you learn anything from the Texas game about how your team could compete? And maybe more importantly, did the newcomers, even Isaiah, learn something in playing a conference game that maybe they didn't quite understand prior?
Well, after all this time, I learned you can't turn it over 20 times and expect to win. I don't think that we played terrible. I just think that you can't turn it over 20 times, and particularly you can't turn it over to them for baskets, and we did that. We had way too many live ball turnovers that resulted in baskets for them.
Let's go to Ryan Pritt.
Sorry, there, it took me a second. Hey, after the game, JB kind of came and said, he knew that with Taz being out, he had to kind of assert himself a little bit more offensively. And I know that's kind of what you've been wanting to see out of him, but with Taz back, how do you kind of make sure he's still getting his shots? And do you kind of think that game could have been a turning point for him for the rest of the year in terms of his aggressiveness?
Well, one, I hope it was. I hope that he kind of came out of his shell, so to speak. Those guys were as much encouraging JB to shoot the ball early on in the year as I was. They want him to score the ball. Taz and Sean both know that we're going to be a much better team when we have all 3 of those guys making shots and being aggressive offensively.
Let's go to Greg Carey.
Bob, this being only your second game since December 23rd now, what does it do from a kind of continuity and a rhythm standpoint?
I don't have the answer to that. We've gone through things like this before, and it's been hard. I mean, it's really been hard. It's been hard when you take guys out, they're taken out, and then you're supposed to like stick them back right in immediately, and when you have guys that you have to really monitor minutes, it's been, we've had it maybe once or twice before, but I don't know that we've had it to this degree.
Justin.
Hey, Coach, obviously, you can't predict the future in terms of what this virus is going to do to other teams and scheduling and stuff. But, obviously, K-State's kind of went through it there last week, and TCU's obviously missed some games. would it be possible to, like, if games start getting backed up and getting postponed, the idea that comes to mind to me is possibly delaying or canceling the Big 12 SEC challenge to try to open up room to get other games in. Would that be a possibility if needed?
It's above my pay grade, Justin.
Right.
That is, that's something that will be determined at the conference office level, I believe.
Right.
You know, and I think in accordance with the athletic directors. But I don't see us being involved, us being the coaches. I don't see us being involved in those decisions. At least if last year's any indication, we had no involvement whatsoever.
Right.
Other than complaining a lot.
Let's go to John.
Come to that.
I'm having all kinds of technical issues here. I'm on my phone. Hey, Hugs, do you think the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks could maybe determine the outcome of the season, how these teams handle COVID and how they get through it?
I don't know how you handle it. I mean, I think we and I think probably everybody else involved has done the best job that they can possibly do to handle it in the best way that it can be handled. With the biggest thing, making sure that the safety of our guys are not jeopardized.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think, you know, I know Texas has come through it to this point unscathed.
Yeah.
They're the only ones that I can, off the top of my head, I can think off the top of my head. And you know, the idea of not playing the two challenge games, you know, how do we're going to have a hard time, I think, knowing that until it comes time to play, because we don't know what their protocols are. We don't know what kind of hoops that they have to jump through to put a team out there, to put a roster out there. It's
Question here about the net. It doesn't take into account guys that miss games, right? So, I mean, I know it does margin of victory, but that's not even factored into the formula used to pick the tournament, right?
well, it is part of it. But, you know, and I was on a NABC call last week, and I said to Danny, this isn't what I remember. I was on the committee. I was on the committee in New York, and you know, it was a powerful committee, and it was when Mike Slive was still alive, and Mike did a phenomenal job of running that committee. And I mean, and we were in there for I want to say 3 straight days, and there was no stone unturned. But it's not what I don't remember what's going on now being as big a part of it. And it was a part of it, but as big a part of it is what it is now.
I guess what I'm asking is the board being agile enough to deal with all these things that are popping up right now toward the end of the season, you think?
I think it's important that we try to deal with it as best we possibly can from the beginning of the season to the end. You know, there's a lot more things involved than what meets the naked eye, so to speak. A lot more people involved.
Hertz, do you have a question?
Yeah, I guess I do. Well, I hate to go right after you talk about the naked eye. Anyway,
I can talk about naked other things. Bob.
That's why my video is off. No, can anything good come out of a layoff like you've had, in one game and, in a year now? Passing worked out or anything good?
Well, I guess probably the good may be that some of our younger guys got a lot more attention in practice. When we didn't have the guys that would, we normally would have in there. Other than that, I can't think of a whole lot.
Games in practice, I mean, evaluate I mean, obviously practice is important, but I guess there's nothing really like seeing what you've got, where you are and how you're doing, like a game.
Well, the best analogy I can give you, Bob, is, when you have kids and they're young kids and they can't wait to tear into those presents, and you're doing everything you possibly can do to try to keep their mind off of tearing into the presents. They want the finish right now. They want to cross the finish line now, and that's what you got here. I mean, we got a whole bunch of guys that are just, they can't wait to get to where we start playing again. And I think the not knowing, I mean, think about it. We don't know until a day or so before we play. When do you do that? I mean, usually you got a schedule, you look at the schedule, oh, okay, we play on Thursday. We don't know any of that now, and they don't know any of that. And I think it's harder on particularly the younger guys who now see a chance where they can get valuable minutes, a time where they actually can go out and play and show what they're going to do. And then it gets postponed, and then it ends up being next week. And I think it's really rough on those guys. I think the veteran guys that have been through it before have a tendency to handle it better than the young guys do.
You must handle it very well.
As long as we've been through the flu and all that kind of stuff, but I've never been through anything like we did this last couple of years. I don't ever remember this. So we've had flu. I mean, we have had guys that had the flu. We've had guys that have colds. The remedy for having a cold before was put a sweatshirt on, sweat it out. So they go through practice with a sweatshirt on, sweat it out, and take whatever the doctors recommended for them, and drink a lot of water and show up and play the next day. Nobody ever worried about, are you going to get the whole team sick, or are you going to get the opponent sick or anything like that? I mean, put sweatshirt on and go, brother. I mean, that was kind of what it was. And this is an entirely different deal that I don't think any of us have faced.
Thank you.
And Greg Hunter.
Okay, Bob, sort of a silly weather question. Do you have to go pick people up that are stuck? And have you had to do that at all in the past? I'd imagine at some point you've had guys that couldn't get to practice because of weather.
I just passed Gabe. He had a set of skis. He was going past McDonald's when I saw him.
Canadian guys.
Yeah, I think he saw the cars. The reason he didn't stop and go in. But no, not really. Not really. They're pretty resourceful in finding their way to practice or other things that they want to be involved in, I'm sure.
And we'll wrap it up with John.
Yeah, another quick question here about preparation. Are you basically going practice to practice, figuring out who's available to practice? And I guess tomorrow, will you wonder who is on the airplane for Kansas State when they show up, or when you're on the court? Will you know who's available? Is that how you're going about it right now?
We have an idea, in that they played a few days ago and played well, played very well.
Yeah, with 8 guys.
Yeah. played well. They had, I thought they had great chemistry and really did a terrific job running offense.
But I imagine you walk out on the court Saturday, you're going to say, who's out there? I mean, that's basically how you're going about it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of hard to plan that way, isn't it?
Well, we had a year, a year to go through it once, and so it's not near as bad as it was a year ago, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, a year ago, we didn't know anything. A year ago, are they going to show up or are they not going to show up?
Yeah.
It was kind of like an AAU game. Which guy are they going to pick up from which other team? That kind of thing, and the AAU stuff. And with us, it's which guy is going to play and which guy's not going to be allowed to play, and all those kind of things. And we were pretty much the same way. It was, I think it was a lot more dramatic a year ago than what it is today.
But a lot more plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D stuff, I guess, right?
Well, you kind of know what's going on a little bit more too.
Yeah.
You have an idea. You have an idea of what's going to happen. Last year, we had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Coach, I think that's it. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for everybody calling in, and we'll see everyone tomorrow.
Yes, we all hope you can dig your way out.
I'll be there, Coach.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.